We will jump into these offensive line rankings. Guys, let me tell you, this offensive line room in the SEC in general, loaded. Loaded. I think the first four I mentioned here are four of the top 8 in the country. Minimum. You could argue these are the 4 best in the country, and they all reside in the SEC. It's really impressive what these coaches do to get these type of rooms for their offensive line. And we're going to jump into it. And guess what, guys? I don't have Texas ranked first. But you could. The first 4 of these, you can debate 100%. I could debate these first 4 for the next 3 hours if I wanted to and come down to a different opinion every time I make this list. I went with Georgia for a couple reasons. They have sent a first-round NFL draft pick into the NFL 3 out of the last 5 years. A first-round pick, not an offensive lineman, a first-round pick. They also have Ernest Green coming back, who could be one of the best offensive linemen in the country at the left tackle position. Dylan Fairchild at the left guard position. Jared Wilson at the center position. Tate Ratledge at the right guard position. Right tackle is Xavier Truss. And they have 13 guys that are high 3-star to 5-star. 13. Yes, I think they're the best offensive line room in the country. Until they dip down of not sending guys to the NFL, I'm going to have them here. But that's why I have them 1 is mostly the pedigree. Because honestly, this next room we're going to talk about might have the most talent, but pedigree does matter to me to some extent. And that's number 2 would be LSU. LSU has 50 starts between their left tackle and right tackle. Will Campbell has started since he's a freshman. Emory Jones at right tackle has started since he's a freshman. That is insane, guys, that both your tackles started as a freshman, and they've been good since they've been a freshman. They have been good. Will Campbell is just as good as Kelvin Banks, and I'm a Texas fan. Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks will be the top 2 tackles taken off the board in the NFL draft, and they've both started since they're freshmen. So is Emory Jones. He hasn't been as good as those 2, but he's still really good. You also have DJ Chester, who's coming in. He will be their starting center this year. He wasn't last year. He saw some time and he was pretty good, but he's only a true sophomore. So we'll see what he can do. And then right guard Miles Frazier has 37 starts, along with left guard Derek Dellinger. This might be the most experienced and most talented offensive line. The only reason I didn't go with them is pedigree. That's legitimately the only reason. You could debate it again till the cows come home. Number 3, Texas. Again, you can debate here. Kelvin Banks has started since his freshman year and has been fantastic every game. I'm trying to think whether there's been 1 or 2 games where I'm like, he didn't have his best game, but he wasn't bad. Hasn't had a bad game at the University of Texas yet. Knock on wood. He's been fantastic. Hayden Connor is the weak point at the left guard position. This could be Cole Hudson, who also started sometime as a freshman, or Neto Umuluzulu could come here and be the starting left guard. So those 3 guys are competing. But then center, Jake Majors, 4-year starting, 41 starts. DJ Campbell, love him, nasty. 1 year on the offensive line. And he was the number 1 offensive lineman in the class of 2022. And then the guy we just talked about, Cam Williams. I think he has the highest upside. He's a big guy, 6'7", 335 now, so he's lost a little bit of weight. And honestly, that's good because he was amazing in pass protection when he did play for Christian Jones a little bit last year. His issue was he was amazing in run blocking. His issue was pass protection because he's a big dude. He's got a lot of weight to move around, and that's harder to move east and west than it is north and south. I think losing the weight will help that. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think there's a chance he's a first-round pick, guys. I really believe that. So that would be number 3. Number 4, I have Alabama. The only reason I have them number 4, it's hard to know who's going to be their tackles. I know they're in tier. Tyler Booker's the best guard in the country. Parker Brailsford was amazing last year at center at Washington, part of that Joe Moore Award offensive line. And then Jaden Roberts was fantastic at the guard position as well. I think the interior of this line is just as good as any line in the country. I don't know who's going to start at the tackle positions. Caden Proctor, Elijah Prickett, Wilkin Fomby. So those are 3 guys you got to keep an eye on. I think 2 out of those 3 guys will take those 2 positions. I don't know which 2. Elijah Pritchett was good. Caden Proctor was okay last year. He kind of struggled with the same things Cam Williams did when he got time. So we'll see. He's a big guy too, so that makes sense. He'll only get better. He was a freshman last year. So that's why I have them ranked 4th. Obviously, the snap problem should be gone. That guy went to Ohio State, and he's going to play guard now. So that's going to be interesting there. But he's a good blocker, Seth McLaughlin. He just couldn't snap the damn ball. Next up, we have Missouri. Missouri replacing 2 starters. They get Caden Green out of the transfer portal from Oklahoma. He'll be playing guard this year. And they also get Marcus Bryant, an all-American conference player from SMU. By the way, SMU lost a couple good offensive linemen. We'll talk about one later. But they do return Connor Tollison at center and Armin Memhu at right tackle. So I have them at number 5, a pretty experienced offensive line and a good offense. By the way, everyone's talking about Cody Schrader being gone. Good running back. I think he's going to be a good NFL career. I think he's with the 49ers now. They brought in 2 guys in the portal that are going to have really good years. One guy from Georgia Southern, I believe, or Georgia State, I forget, and then App State. They're both good players, though. When I went over Missouri's running back room, I think people are over-exaggerating the loss there. Next up, we're going to have Kentucky. Kentucky returning 3 starters. They have 156 starts combined, 6th in the country on offensive line and starts combined. Marquise Cox at left tackle, Jalen Farmer at left guard, Eli Cox at center, Yeager Burton at right guard, and Gerald Mincy at right tackle. So I have them at 6. That's a lot of experience coming back for Mark Stoops and those guys. Number 7, I have Tennessee. They bring in Lance Hurd, who was an LSU transfer, 5-star. But guess what, guys? When you're a transfer from LSU, you were sitting behind Will Campbell. So I think this guy could be really good. Like, think about this. This guy could be a top of the 2nd round NFL pick, and he's still not good enough to get on the field at LSU because you have 2 guys at the tackle positions that are going to be 1st-round picks. So this guy could be good. We'll have to see. He played, and he played okay when he did play. They also bring back Cooper Mays at the center position. He was all SEC 2nd team, so I think he's their best offensive lineman. And they also return the right tackle and starter John Campbell Jr. The questions come at guard for them. Center and tackle, I think, will be fine. The guards will be the main issue there if there are an issue. And Josh Heupel's scheme, honestly, you can scheme around an okay offensive line, and I think they might even be better than that. 7th, I have them as the 7th best offensive line in the SEC. Number 8, I have Florida. They have 3 returning starters. Left tackle, Austin Barber. Left guard, Krajee Harris. Jake Slaughter's their center. And then Jamian George and Brandon Crenshaw are going to be the right side. And I have Florida number 8 in the country offensive line-wise. And here it is, our rivals, Oklahoma. A lot of starters, guys. They replace all 5 starters. They bring in Michael Tarquin, USC in Florida. He is where he started. He transferred over. We'll see how he does. Jacob Sexton. This is the guy, in my opinion, who's probably their best offensive lineman of the guys that were on Oklahoma's roster. There's only 2 on here. He was an Oklahoma backup. Here's another SMU guy, Branson Hickman. SMU, 33 starts there at center. Pretty good player. Fabici and this is hard to say. And Waywu, North Texas, all Conference USA, but it's Conference USA. That's the issue here is I don't know how that's going to translate to the SEC. Hopefully for Oklahoma fans, it translates well. And then Jake Taylor was also a backup. I think he's the worst offensive lineman of the group, honestly, which honestly, your right tackle, you can scheme around that. And then Jacob Sexton, I think, could end up being the best offensive lineman, the left guard here for Oklahoma. They have Bill Bedenbaugh, and Bill Bedenbaugh, probably the best offensive line coach in the country. So we'll see where this group does. They have talent, but it's unproven talent in most cases. And then if it is proven, it's proven at lower levels. Or a guy like Michael Tarquin, why are you starting on your 3rd team in like 4 years? So we'll see there. Number 10, I have Ole Miss. They have Jaden Williams, left tackle, Nate Kalepo at left guard, center Caleb Warren, right guard Jeremy James, and then at right tackle, you have Micah Petrus. Overall, a good offensive line, not great. Again, you can kind of scheme around this for Ole Miss. It's kind of the same thing as Josh Heupel at Tennessee, so it doesn't hurt you as much. But like I said, after the top 4, there's a drop-off here. And then there's even a bigger drop-off, but we'll get to that in a minute. Number 11, guys, I have Auburn. They bring over Percy Lewis, and this man is a big human being. 6'8", 360 pounds from Mississippi State. Listen, in the scheme that Hugh Freeze runs, and he likes to run the ball, this will be fun for them because he will just road grade people. You also bring in freshman All-American last year, Connor Lewis, back at center. Dylan Wade comes in from Tulsa at left guard. Right guard, Jeremy Wright, and then returning starter, Xavion Miller. So overall, a good, none of the, like I said, 5 through 11, you could debate. 5 through 11, you can debate. I don't think you can debate the first 4. And number 11, I have Auburn. Number 12, I actually think this is where it takes a drop off, guys. I think 12 through 16 is pretty weak. Texas A&M, and people are like, wow, Texas A&M this far down? Like, what happened to them? Well, guys, they have one guy returning. That'd be Treyhoon III. Only started returning. Bryce Foster transferred from Kansas, the center. He did have issues last year blocking and snapping, especially. They bring in right guard Armaj Reed Adams, Kansas transfer. Chase Bissonnette, I believe is how you say his name, is starter at left guard. Mark Naboo Jr. at center. And Ruben Fartreet II at right tackle. So you have one starter who was the captain back at left tackle and Treyhoon III. And then a lot of unknown here. Chase Bissonnette, I do remember he's a highly touted coming out of high school. If he can return to that form, that will definitely help out. We'll see what happens. I would expect the offensive line to get better under Mike Elko and crew there. So I do think they'll get better, but I just don't know, guys. Like, this is a gigantic question, honestly. And that's why I said 12 through 16 is not, even then, I might have 5 through 11 might be my second tier. A&M might be on a tier by itself. And then, you know what? That's what I'm going to say. A&M's into tier by itself. I just don't know. And 13 through 16 is terrible. And we're going to get to number 13. That is Arkansas. Arkansas is god-awful at almost every position. And offensive line is one of those, which is funny because Sam Pittman got hired because he's an offensive line coach. And if the offensive line is as bad as it was last year, he will be gone, period. They bring in Fernando Carmona, all-Mountain West player at San Jose State. But again, San Jose State, Patrick Kutis at the left guard position does return. Addison Nichols is coming in. Josh Braun is a returning starter. And then Keyshawn Blackstock is at the right tackle position. This is not a good offensive line. That's why they're ranked 13th. Sam Pittman better get it together. Otherwise, he will be gone very soon. Number 14 is Mississippi State. All 6 starters from last year gone. They had 6 guys start. They're all gone. They bring in Memphis transfer Michaela Ponders. They have Albert Reese the 5th at the left guard position. Ethan Miner from North Texas at center. Marlon Martinez or Jacoby Jackson, who is from Texas Tech, at the right guard position. Leon Bell does return at the right tackle, but he did not start, so he's like their third-string player for them last year. At best, he was the 7th best offensive lineman they had. This is a bad offensive line. And I think Mississippi State probably has the second worst team in the SEC. They might be third, and they're definitely in a debate with the next 2. Number 15, surprisingly, I think they've been last in everything other than this, is Vanderbilt. They have 102 starts combined, and that's why they're 15th, not 16. A lot of experience. They bring in a couple guys from the transfer portal, one from Mississippi State, actually, Stephen Lasoya at the center position. They have Marcel Sandoval or Stephen Hubbard from UTEP at the right tackle position, and they have left tackle Gunnar Hansen, who's probably their best offensive line at the left tackle spot. Overall, guys, this is a military-style attack. They're going to run the triple option. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how it's going to go. Another thing is, Mark said this, they apparently are going to rotate offensive linemen based on what kind of plays they're running, like whatever they're best at. You cannot do that. That gives the other team an advantage because they know what you're trying to run. So if they actually do that, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Tim Beck is their coach, and he was terrible at Texas. He was a great recruiter, terrible coach. And Vanderbilt's the 15th because this team who almost got Spencer Rattler killed in his 2 years there, South Carolina, and this is what I mean, 41 sacks allowed last year, which was 118th in the country out of 133 teams. You're an SEC team, and you're allowing 118 sacks. 118. Last in SEC in rushing, and there are 9 players jockeying for starting spots. The 5 starting spots. 9 players going for 5 starting spots, guys. So that is never a good sign when you basically have a rotation at your offensive line position. It's going to be very interesting there. I expect this to be the best or the worst offensive line in the SEC. And there's a chance, guys, just reading more and more into it, I think there's a real chance if Lenora Sellers isn't good. I think Shane Bieber will be fired, 1. 2, I think South Carolina, they might be the worst team in the SEC. Vanderbilt might be able to slip up past them. We will see, though. That's not my official prediction. We will get in that, I don't know, a couple weeks because the season is upon us soon.